Hello, everyone. I'm Kelly Westenfeld, and I'm the Director for Collegiate Recruitment and Communication for the College of Arts and Sciences. I would like to welcome you to our virtual open house where you'll learn more about the academics and opportunities available to students within our science programs in the College of Arts and Sciences. Today, we have many faculty and students here to speak with you to help answer any questions that you may have. I do invite you to enter your questions into the Q&A box, and we will answer those throughout our formal presentation. Now, I would like to invite all of my panelists to join me so you can all introduce yourself to our guests today. So, Dr. Levesque, I'd like to start with you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Levesque. I'm the chair of the biology department.
Good afternoon, Eric Mahan. I'm chair of the chemistry department and also the chair of the pre-medical professions advising committee.
Hello, I'm Jim McDonald. I'm the currently interim chair of Judaic Studies, but I will become the physics chair in January, and I'm a nuclear astrophysicist.
Hello, everyone. I'm Fei Xue. I'm the professor of mathematics and currently serving as a co-chair of math and the interim chair of physics now.
Hi, my name's Jill Ernst. I'm a senior here. I'm studying biology pre-med. I'm a senior, so I've done a lot. I've studied abroad. I'm the president of the pre-med club. I've done research in the biology department. I'm in the honors program. I'm in women's advancement club, and then I am applying to vet school. So if you have questions about that, yeah, let me know.
Hello, my name is Katie Green. I am a senior studying physics here. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas, and I currently do research with my advisor.
Hello, I'm Jared Rubin. I'm a fourth-year math major with a minor in data science, and I do research with Dr. Decker, who in the field of numerical analysis.
Wonderful, thank you all. Now I would like to invite Dr. Mahan back to talk with us about the chemistry programs.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Talk to you a little bit about chemistry, and we have two different degree options. One, a BA, a little bit lighter in coursework, and then the BS option, which is also certified by the American Chemical Society. So a nice little extra there. We also have a pre-pharmacy option with the BA in chemistry. So anyone interested in that, there is an accelerated track that you can do for 3 years to work towards your chemistry degree and then begin a pharmacy program at the University of St. Joseph's. They have their pharmacy school right in downtown Hartford. So close by, and as you finish up some of your classes in the first year of that program, you would complete your BA degree. For biochemistry, it's also a BS degree. That has a pre-med option. You normally need some bio courses for sure to be able to head to medical school. So straight chemistry degree would need some additional work. So the biochemistry option is there if you're interested in pre-med. All levels of different fields of chemistry are represented in our department, both in the coursework that you take as well as research. There are options for advanced electives in most of these areas as well. And just in the classroom, a lot of the benefits that you get at a school of this size for all departments, including chemistry, is smaller class sizes. So you get to know the professors very well. They get to know you. They know you by name. It's not a large room where there are hundreds of people that it might be harder for you to kind of be picked out and stand out. And that also allows us to do things like review sessions on a weekly basis. Virtually all of our faculty do that. In some cases, like in my organic chemistry class, it's now built into the schedule for the class that there is a weekly review session. that you can attend to ask questions and get more help with problems. There are peer tutoring workshops that students can take in certain courses to get help from a peer, same thing, and also a peer tutoring program. So there's lots of help and support out there for some of these challenging science classes, and you have to really work hard to try and avoid getting that help. So those are some of the benefits of some of the things that we can do in the classroom. As far as other aspects of that, of course, almost all of the courses are laboratory science classes. So there's a lab component that's usually 25% of the grade, or 1 credit out of 4. And in these, starting even as early as your first year, but especially in the sophomore year, you get extensive use of instruments in all of the various courses that you're taking, particularly quantitative analysis. And then there's a 400 level course, instrumental analysis, which is going to be highly instrument oriented. We do collaborative work in some cases and group projects. Again, a couple of those classes that I just mentioned are usually group project based, as is the physical chemistry lab. You do some individual work. We emphasize safety, as you can see in some of the pictures there, students all wearing glasses. Right now, even more so with the COVID, we've got face shields, goggles, face masks, so safety is an emphasis even in normal times, so to speak. So we do have concerns with that and make sure students learn proper safety protocols. And we also frequently upgrade and add to our instrument collection. We oftentimes have alums come back and say in the job that they've been working at that the exposure to instruments that they had while they were in our program tended to be sometimes better than what they're currently working with. So that's some good experience when you're trying to learn those things. And then that can extend, that laboratory experience can extend into research. The faculty are actively involved in research with undergraduate students. And again, it's all fields of chemistry. We have several new faculty in biochemistry that are sort of cross-trained in different areas, analytical biochemistry with Dr. Krause, and she works on sensors that can detect some of the proteins for signs of breast cancer. Right now there's a blood test, but they're working on with a physician to see if they can develop a saliva test. We have Dr. Estede, who does more organic synthesis and research in biochemistry, and Dr. Nangia, who just started this year, who does computational work. So you can work theoretically. Dr. Kraft does work with metals and hydrogen storage. You can see him there in the bottom picture with one of our double majors who did chemistry and biology and did a lot of work there. That often turns into honors research where students can work on getting an honors thesis, and turns into presentations sometimes at local meetings of the American Chemical Society, the Connecticut Valley Association, and we've gone to national meetings as well. One of our other faculty, Dr. Gray, has taken students to national meetings on several occasions, one time to New Orleans where students presented research. And it can also turn to co-authorship on publications. So whether you're going to graduate school, trying to get a job, or like Jill, looking to go to medical school, that type of research experience can look very good on those applications. And there's been some local and national recognition for some of that research. Dr. Kraft's been on local TV for some of his work with hydrogen storage. Dr. Krause's research has been highlighted on the NIH website or one of their websites. So a lot of opportunities there that you can engage with the faculty and gain a lot more in-depth experience doing research. And I think with that, I will turn it over. Oh, we do have one more slide. That's right. Talking about what happens beyond graduation. You can see here, this is one of the pictures that we take annually at commencement. Usually after the ceremony is over, we try to gather everybody along with the faculty to take a quick last picture before you head off into the world. There's a lot of emphasis on career skills and preparation. There is a 1-credit course called Career Dialogue that's present not just in chemistry, but the other science courses that helps you to prepare for how to apply to graduate school and move into some of those programs and what to help get you ready for having a good resume and how to do interviews and things like that. Networking with alums who are out in the field, learning things from them. So there's a lot of emphasis there. I mentioned the experience that you get in the laboratory and the instrumentation experience and the collaborative teamwork, and also oral and written communication skills that employers are looking for. And that leads to a lot of different either graduate or pre-med professional programs for continuing education, or just entering the workforce with your bachelor's degree and going into work. And you can see some of the different jobs there, from quality control to beer chemist to business manager for a chemical company, or sales and things like that. So there are a lot of different options that you can do there. And with that, I think that is what we'll have for now for chemistry. And up next, we've got Dr. Amy Levesque coming back to talk to you about the Department of Biology.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mahan. The biology department offers a few different degree options. So we have a BS degree, which is the more popular option for students that are interested in pre-med, pre-dental, pre-pharm, pre-veterinary, and so on. But we also have a BA degree option, which is pretty popular with students that are interested in education, environmental studies, and some of the health profession type careers. Like sometimes we'll have students that decide they want to apply to physician's assistant programs, for example, and the BA option ends up being a good choice for students going down that path. The BA option has less chemistry and less physics, and so it means that it has more flexibility. So it's also a popular option for students who want to double major or minor, because they have a little bit more wiggle room in their schedules. We have a couple of accelerated programs. So Dr. Mahan mentioned the pre-pharm 3+3 program for chemistry. So biology also has a pre-pharm program. So we have this articulation program with the University of St. Joseph College of Pharmacy in West Hartford, where students can complete 3 years at the University of Hartford and 3 years at the University of St. Joseph and graduate with their PharmD in 6 years. We also offer in-house a 4+1 program, which is a BA or BS in biology and a MS in neuroscience, because we do offer a Master of Science in Neuroscience graduate program. We have 10 full-time faculty in our department currently. Our faculty have expertise in different areas, which means that they teach a lot of different upper-level elective courses that students can take. Someone asked a question in the chat about whether there are concentrations. So we don't have specific concentrations, but what happens is you take the core courses the first 2 years. Those are the required courses for the major that include the intro bio, genetics, ecology, and cell biology. And then after that, you have the option of taking different upper level electives, which can include things like developmental biology, microbiology, neuroscience, and biochemistry, to name a few options. We pride ourselves on advising students, so we try to personalize the advising based on a student's academic and career goals, because every student has a different path that they want to take. So we're going to advise you on what classes you should probably take based on what you want to do when you graduate. We also do focus, of course, on career preparation. So not only do we have the career preparation course that Dr. Mahan mentioned, but we also have the laboratories and the equipment and the courses that are going to provide you with the knowledge and the skills that you're going to need either in your future education or in your future careers. And as I said, we have 10 full-time faculty now, so it says 9 here, but we have full-time faculty working in diverse fields, and all are engaged in some type of research. And so our research fields range from cancer, aging, Parkinson's disease, arthritis, to environmental science and climate change. And students have opportunities to engage in research with faculty, which I think is an important skill for students to acquire during their 4 years of college. Whether your career goals are going to medical school or grad school or something else, having that type of real world research experience is important. And it's something we really like to see as a, you know, what might set us apart from other universities where you might not get that opportunity for that kind of one-on-one research experience with the faculty member. And so this slide is just showing a few pictures of students who've been engaged in research over the years. And you see that some of them are working on sort of field research where they're out in the field collecting samples. And others are engaged in bench type research where they're working in a laboratory. So we do have opportunities for both types of research. And I can tell you that the students, all of the students that are in these pictures have since graduated and they've all gone on to something else. So Anthony and Betsy, who are in that first picture, both went on to medical school. Caitlin, who's in that middle picture, she went on to a master's program in environmental studies at University of Rochester. And Rebecca on the right went on to a physician's assistant program when she graduated. And so our students are involved in research. They get the research experience. Many of our students get to go to conferences and present their research. We've had students go to national conferences. We've had students get their names on publications in peer-reviewed scientific journals as well. So it's really great rounded experience for them. We also are involved in a partnership with a number of peer institutions in the area, including UConn and Trinity and Connecticut Children's Medical Center, where students can engage in a summer research internship at one of these institutions listed here on the slide. So that's another opportunity for students to get really valuable research experience. We've even had students do summer internships at Jackson Laboratories at the UConn Health Center. One of the student panelists who's here today, Jill, is a biology major who's engaged in research with a faculty member. So I just wanted to call on her to tell you guys a little bit about her experiences as a biology major.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Levack. So I currently do research with my faculty advisor. Her name's Dr. Lee, and we're looking at the genetic origins of osteoarthritis. So we actually use a mouse model, which we're so lucky to have. So we work with live mice to sort of investigate that sort of scientific question. And we get actually our mice from Jackson Lab. So I've gone frequently there. So it's a really nice partnership that we have. So you definitely don't lose out on that small lab versus large lab experience. I think it's really helped me in terms of it's helping my future goals. You know, working with mice in a research lab is an invaluable opportunity for applying to medical or veterinary school in my case. And my partners are both that I work with other students. So one is going to dentistry and the other one is going into pharmacy. So both of them are getting really good experience. And it's really, I would suggest it if you can make it in. And there are so many different topics. Like my best friends work with Dr. Silver in microbiology. So they do bacteria and that kind of thing. So you can't go wrong here.
Okay, thank you, Jill. And then I just wanted to wrap up by talking a little bit about just what our students go on to do. So you just heard Jill mention that she's pre-vet. We've had a number of students go on to veterinary school after they've graduated, dental school, physician's assistant programs, PhD programs, master's programs, medical school, etc. So you can look down this list, pharmacy school. You can see it all on this list pretty much. And these are just examples from students who've graduated in the past few years. That we put together. So, you know, this just gives you an idea of what people will end up doing with a degree in biology. And I think that's all I have. So we'll hand it over to Dr. McDonald to talk about physics.
Hello. So the physics department here, again, as you're hearing, is fairly small. We have 5 faculty. And then we have a broad-based faculty in terms of we have both theory and experimental work. Some of the work that we're doing is in computer modeling, solid state physics or materials processing, medical physics, and nuclear physics. We encourage our students to work on meaningful research at some point in their undergraduate years, and most of our students end up doing at least a project, whether it's with somebody on campus or if they do, there are programs nationally for what they call research experience for undergraduates, where you go to a top tier research school for a summer and do research with them. The major is very compatible with a minor or a double major, either math, English, business, CS, or engineering. And we kind of encourage that partly because it makes you more flexible in terms of what you're able to deal with. It's also great preparation for either pre-med or pre-law, especially if you want to do something like patent law or something like that. All right, so in terms of advising, you get one-on-one planning of your coursework with your advisor. Because we're a small enough department, what we do a lot of times is kind of get all the majors together and say, okay, what are we going to offer next semester? What are we going to, so that we can try and get multiple years or multiple students at different stages to get together so that they get experience with those classes. If we have a class that you need and you're the only one who needs it, we will arrange for you to take it as a one-on-one, or if there's a 1 or 2 student class, that's still going to run so that you can get that, that material, all right? Again, like the other majors in arts and sciences, during your junior year or senior year, we have a course called Career Readiness, and we talk about everything from going to graduate school. Do you want to go to graduate school? If you want to go to graduate school, do you want to go immediately after undergrad, or do you want to work a little bit first? If you don't want to go to graduate school, what are the job opportunities out there? How do you write a resume versus a CV? How do you interview? How do you make some of those decisions? So it's a whole broad look at some of the skills that you're going to need in order to be successful after you leave here, right? But very flexible preparation for work either in the public or the private sector. One of the nice things we get to brag about is for more than 10 years running, according to the American Institute of Physics, more than 96% of physics bachelors are where they want to be a year after they graduate. In other words, they're either in a graduate program that they had planned to be in, or they have a job that they are actually using their skills with. All right, so in terms of on campus, we have some laboratories where faculty are doing research. In particular, we have an atomic force microscope, and that is being used by Dr. Hashini Molatala, and she's looking partly at new materials with an application towards solar energy. And we also have a microwave lab with Dr. Brian Wells, and that is dealing more with optical effects and optical transmissions, and that has applications to quite a few things, but particularly communications, all right? Myself, because I'm a nuclear physicist, we don't have an accelerator on campus, but we go to nearby facilities, or we do independent projects. In the past, I've taken students to Thomas Jefferson National Laboratory, which is down in Virginia, Georgia College, which is in Millville, Georgia. I've taken people to Brookhaven National Lab on Long Island, also University of Louvain-la-Neuve, which is in Belgium, and the Weizmann Institute, which is in Israel. All right, so our research, one of the people we get to brag about is Brian Wells. This is the person that's doing the optical materials. He just was awarded part of a very large DARPA grant with multiple schools, including Purdue and Caltech. And the applications of what he's doing go to communication using light, so photonics. And in particular, SpaceX is really interested in using this as part of satellite communication. And I'm going to invite Katie to talk a little bit about her work with Dr. Wells, because she's doing research with him as well.
All right, hi guys. So the research I do is with my advisor, Dr. Wells, and it pertains to metasurface beam splitters in the microwave regime. So my job is to fabricate these metasurface screens And really, they just have some optical properties. So they're designed in a way to have light react in a specific way. Currently, I am running trials on these screens to validate the theoretical results that Dr. Wells produced. This work has numerous applications, some of them that Dr. McDonald spoke about, but one of my favorites is, in the future, fingers crossed, the development of invisibility and cloaking devices.
And I know it's not as exciting, but one of the other things that that's being looked at for is not so much cloaking devices as in making a ship disappear or making a car disappear, but for certain surgeons, if they can see through their hands while they're working on something, it may make certain types of surgery much easier. All right. So many of our graduates have gone on to do some very, very nice things. We do about half and half in terms of whether our graduates decide to go to graduate school or go and work immediately after graduation. We also have quite a handful that go back and get a master's degree in business at some point in the future because they're working in an industry or they're working for a company where that's advantageous. We've had 3 Martin Scholars, and what that is that's a university award that is awarded every year, but it's a campus-wide competition for the graduating seniors. And it includes a scholarship to go to Oxford University for your graduate degree. One of our Martin Scholars is Jessica Dunmore, who you can see there down on the left. She worked with Arthur McDonald, who is won a Nobel Prize for his work on solar neutrinos, which is also happens to overlap with my area. And it was very nice that at least once we found out who won the Nobel Prize about a day before everybody else did, because Jessica called us and said, guess what, Art won the Nobel. We also have our recent graduate who's working at Brown University on his PhD. We've had people go on to William and Mary. We've had people who ended up working at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory and Brookhaven National Laboratory. And I'm going to invite Dr. Feiju of math to take over.
Hello, everyone. I want to introduce a little bit about the mathematics department at the University of Hartford. Our department currently has 11 full-time faculty members. We are in very different background. So we offer BS and BA in mathematics. Like in the other programs, BS is a little bit more heavy in math and has more built-in physics courses. BA is a little bit lighter in math and lighter in physics, but it's more sort of broad in math, and it has it is more attractive for the students to have a double major in other school or other colleges like that. We also have a BA Math Secondary Education. That's for preparing teachers in math. Recently, we just developed a minor in data science, and I'm almost ready to submit a proposal to add a data science major, which is a collaboration with the computer science department and a little bit with the business school. So that's going to be a popular major in the future. Most of our students had a minor or double major in other area. Some popular minors are actuarial science or computer science, and many of them have double major in CS or in engineering. Like the other professors has introduced, we have one-on-one planning for coursework in advising. Because we are in relative small size, students have very flexible with professors. And for example, I have 4 advisees in total. So every semester we meet a few times when we decide the course for the next semester. It's really based on the personal interest and the personal sort of career goal in the future, and we make it happen for the students. So almost all our students are pretty happy to have the course selections, and they sort of reach their goals year by year. And we also have the career preparation course, But I would say really the career preparation will happen during the daily life, that when we talk to the students, when we work with the students, and when we do this research with the students. So some of our undergraduate research projects are listed here. We have a very active undergraduate research projects. We have monthly math club meetings. So what you see in the picture is one of the math club meetings, of course, before the pandemic. And then some of the projects were more mathematical, like in the numerical research for partial differential equations. So I happen to have Gerard here, who is doing some similar research with Dr. Decker. So I will call Gerard here to talk with you about his experience in research.
Hello. So as Dr. X said, my research is in numerical solutions of the Sine-Gordon equation. So essentially, we're using MATLAB to reverse generate initial conditions from wave velocities, and so we basically want to simulate waves colliding into each other and see the results and comparing that to the sort of theory. And so if successful, it could be applied to other equations that are more difficult to sort of integrate. And I plan to eventually, as with the other majors, publish my research in a research journal.
Thanks, Gerard. So Gerard's research is more about mathematical research, and we do have more applied area in our department. For example, the last one listed here, the Risk and the Disruptive Technology Institute, we call it RDTI project. So I have about 1 or 2 students every year. We form a team with collaboration with a business school. Usually we have 4 students, then we find a partner. For example, in the recent years, we have partnership with the Hartford Insurance Company. So we go there in the beginning of semester. Then they give us 4 to 5 laptops, which has their internal professional software. And we have, usually they give us about 1 million rows of their real data. Then during the semester, we will do some data analysis for them, and we write a formal report for them at the end of semester and give a presentation. So usually this work work very well with our students because they get the chance to see the real data and using real professional software. It's very rare chance for people who could do that in undergraduate level. So those students usually get internship opportunity right after this experience, and then they usually get multiple offers during their internship. So that works pretty well if the students want to work in the industry. So that's just one example that I'm working with, but we have many other opportunities in research, like we work with our athletic team to do sports analytics with them, which is also very successful. For our graduates, we have about half go to graduate school and half go to industry. So for example, as Dr. McDonald says, we have the Martin Scholars in the University of Hartford. We do have a recent graduate who won that scholar, and he went to Oxford University to pursue the master's degree. So the scholarship will pay full tuition and room and the board, meal, everything. And he's a PhD student now, in fact, there to learn math. So those students, some of them will become faculty members at colleges if they pursue a graduate degree in math. And the other half go to industry. So the most popular ones are the insurance companies or finance companies. But recently, data science are getting more and more popular. Some of our recent graduates become data scientists for big companies or the government. So that's why we get the motivation to add a new major called data science. Okay, now I want to hand over to Professor Mahan again to talk about the pre-professional program.
All right, thanks very much. Talking about the pre-professional advising program, for short, we often refer to it as the pre-med advising program, but it really encompasses all of the different pre-professional areas. So from optometry, chiropractic, podiatry, pharmacy, and then of course medical schools, whether it's allopathic or osteopathic, and dental school, veterinary school, anything health profession related there. I think I caught all of them, but if I left any out, most likely they're included as well. We have a few accelerated programs that you have already heard about. One for optometry with NECO, or the New England College of Optometry. That's up in Boston. The New York College of Podiatric Medicine for podiatry. We have two pharmacy affiliations. The one with the University of Notre Dame, and that's the University of Notre Dame in Maryland, not the more famous Notre Dame University in South Bend, Indiana. But that one is through the Health Sciences Department. And then, of course, the one that you can do either bio or chemistry that Dr. Levesque and I talked about is through the University of St. Joseph's and more local to us here in Hartford. And New York Chiropractic College. So several New York schools there as options. And all of these different programs, usually 3 years of study here at the University of Hartford. And then you start into the program for your professional degree, and some of those courses come back to fulfill your bachelor's degree. So you always end up, no matter what, with a bachelor's degree that you're finishing up with. If for some reason you changed your mind while you went to one of these schools going for the professional degree, you would still, at a minimum, at least have your bachelor's degree to fall back on. A lot of advising. We start that in the very first year. There are courses to help students prepare for the application and getting into professional programs, help with all aspects of this, writing your personal statement, putting together a resume, doing mock interviews, doing practice tests for exams, all of those different things. And this is for any pre-professional student, regardless of the major. Just want to briefly mention, we had a question in the chat that was answered that typically, the most common majors for pre-med and pre-professional students would be in a College of Arts and Sciences, it would be biology and biochemistry, health science is another popular one. We get physics that they do very well on the MCAT and getting accepted into. We've had psychology majors that want to do psychiatry, and really you can be any major and still do pre-med. The key with it is taking the prerequisite courses to go to medical school and to be prepared for the MCAT. So if you were a history major, that would be fine. You would just have to take a year at least of biology, 4 semesters of general chemistry and organic chemistry total, along with probably some biochemistry, a year of physics, and the different courses to help prepare you. So any of those majors will work. And we have probably a variety of different people in the pre-med club. Jill, I don't know if you want to come in and talk about that or some of your experience with these advising courses before we go on any further.
Yeah, definitely. I actually have to go to class for a second. So if anyone
okay, then let's squeeze you in quick.
Just email me, but I can definitely talk about this first. Yeah, it's actually microbiology, which you'll take. Actually, my favorite class so far. It's really good in terms of biology. Yes, I'm the president of the pre-med club. So what we try to do is, this track is really great because they have really big groups of people watching different professionals come in to speak. But sort of my goal as the president is to have smaller groups. So we try to have like a PA person come in, and then a smaller group of people can talk to them. So you can really get that one-on-one time. We also do, fundraisers and we try to do different sort of fun activities. Before COVID, we used to do a panel of professionals that would come in the spring, and we'd have like a dinner sort of, we called it a cocktail hour, even though, it was just little hors d'oeuvres and stuff. So there's that club, but that's more the recreational side. And I'd say it's a really good way to meet other students that are like-minded. But the pre-med track itself has been really helpful, especially for me. It introduced me to, we have Dr. Oakes who does a lot of it, Dr. Mahan as well. And they both definitely talk about keeping an open mind. So I entered college planning on being a doctor, and about halfway through, I was really unhappy. I really was not feeling like that was the goal for me. And they both encouraged me to really look at other options. And now they helped me apply to an internship of the summer. And then I worked with a veterinarian, and I realized that this is really where my heart was. So I think it's a great program in terms of wanting really one-on-one attention. Like, you know, Dr. Mahan and Dr. Oakes, I feel like know me pretty well. I've gotten good times. So I think it's a great program for that, if that's what you're looking for. Yeah, and then just have Kelly give you my email if you need anything else. Sorry, guys.
Thanks, Jill. Duty does call, so glad you could do that before you had to head off to class. And so that's a little bit about advising. And as far as requirements, thank you for the next slide. For medical school, I mentioned a few of these already when talking about being any major. Introductory biology, although really I would say the more biology you can take probably does not hurt at all. So taking genetics, taking maybe microbiology and some other courses like we have one, comparative animal physiology, which is a good introduction to the anatomy and physiology of organisms, general chemistry, organic chemistry, biochem, physics. Those are all normal prereqs. There's usually at least a semester of math, often statistics now. Calculus has been phased out a little bit as a requirement by most medical schools. And on the MCAT, there is a requirement or a section on social and behavioral sciences. So this usually fulfills a general education requirement for students, but if you take either sociology as an introductory course or psychology, one or both of those would help to fulfill that preparation for that section of the MCAT. And they usually look for a semester of English and good writing and communication skills. Minimum GPA, we say 3.5. Really, your GPA can't be too high. It just increases your chances of getting accepted. On the other hand, can you go lower than that? Yes, it does happen, but then you have to be exceptional in other areas. So, we usually look for something in that range for students to be competitive, unless they have a lot of other exceptional things to present. The other big piece that schools look at would be the admissions test, the MCAT for dental school, the DAT. Each school, just like there's the SAT or ACT for college, each professional school has a test that they usually look to. And if you're going to do well on that, then that could offset a little bit with the GPA or vice versa. But those are the two things that schools focus on the most. The other sort of bells and whistles that they look for to help decide between candidates would be strong letters of recommendation. That again is an area where you have an opportunity where you're going to know faculty very well from the small class sizes and doing research. Maybe you'll have a faculty member that you've worked with very closely for one or several semesters that can write you really good letters of recommendation. So that will help you to stand out. Those extracurricular activities, you've heard some of what the students that are on here that they're involved in. They certainly can help put you over the top. They won't replace a GPA or admissions test if that's in not as good shape, but they can certainly help. And all of the clinical experiences and things. And then just motivation and perseverance and being able to just keep pushing forward. A lot of you have had to experience that right now with being self-motivated to be able to do remote and distance learning. So that drive and ambition will help you in this whole process. And with that, we can certainly answer additional questions about the pre-med program and the one-on-one advising in some of those courses, but we'll I think throw it back to the overall panel so that if you have any questions, and we can try to answer those as we come to a close here.
So Dr. Mahan, I'm going to keep you on the line for a second because I'm looking at the Q&A box and we have a student, and you were pretty much alluding to this just now, talking about the courses required for the pre-med advising program and the MCAT. And the question is asking about taking extra classes or tutoring to prepare for the MCAT, or does a biology, health science major, do the classes pretty much cover the preparation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I see that popping up there. I'll just answer that here then live. It does depend to some degree on the individual person. Some people feel more comfortable with doing a course. Some people feel better just doing the preparation on their own and going back to their notes and exams and course materials from the various courses that they took. Certainly, if you kind of hit that list that we looked at there, you would have covered the material. Where a prep course may sometimes come in handy is kind of just like you may have experienced, again, with, I'll make the analogy to the SAT or ACT, because again, it's a standardized test. And for some people that can be, a little bit more challenging than the tests that you see in your normal classes in high school or in college, because professors may do different type of testing than these standardized all multiple choice type tests. So some people like that preparation to help them sort of strategize for how to take the test and how best to do well on that. We can address that a little bit in the advising that we do, but sometimes people like that formal preparation. So you can do either, and it really depends on your preference as how you think it best would fit your individual needs.
Great. And I think another thing I'm going to throw in there, because we tend to see this quite often with a lot of the science majors, that some of them take a gap year and then they'll prepare for whether it be the MCAT or their applications for med school or professional school. Can you talk a little bit about that, maybe why a student would decide to take a gap year, and maybe what some of them do to fill that time other than studying complete applications?
Yeah, I didn't leave. I didn't know if you wanted me to. So yeah, that is entirely true. And I think that came up one of the Q&A questions as well. If you look at the average age for especially medical school for entering classes, it is not say 21 or even 22, which you would think would be most people fresh out of college. It tends to be skewing a little bit older, 24, 25. So there are people that are going out and getting life experience, whether it's doing some clinical work and volunteering for a while. Sometimes we have people that even while they're still in school have obtained their EMT license and done EMT programs. So they get experience doing that and maybe work in that job for a while to also save some money, because it is an expensive prospect to go to medical school, especially straight from paying for college. So those are things to think about. But just that additional seasoning and time to prepare. Sometimes people find it difficult to prepare for a giant exam like the MCAT while they're taking courses and doing coursework. We often advise people to start preparing for an exam like that, anywhere from 6 to 9 months, even a year ahead of time from when you plan to take it. So that's sometimes tough to squeeze in with everything else. So having those years for growth, as we sometimes also refer to it, is definitely a thing that can be useful. And our support services that we do as far as interviewing students and writing a committee letter on their behalf do continue well after graduation. So each year we do have students that are coming back to us 1, 2, 3 years later that we meet with and write letters on their behalf.
Great. And then another question for you, Dr. Mahan. So Dr. Mahan, another question that came in, and you may as well stay on.
Okay, yep. I think I
Is
just saw that one pop up. If you want me to.
about the MCAT? Yes,
Yeah.
could someone take the MCAT several times? What's your advice on that? The
raw answer to that is yes, you can. They will not stop you from taking it no matter how many times you want to take it. The real question is, what is most effective and what are schools going to look at? So the ideal scenario would be to be one and done. You take it, you get a score that you're happy with, and that's it. For a lot of people, that's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of nerves associated with taking this exam, or just unfamiliarity with the test. So again, that's where practice tests come into play. I preach this just in my courses. I talk to students about doing practice problems to get ready for exams and give them many opportunities to do that in review sessions. The more that you practice, the more prepared you're going to be. And that's true for anything. If you think about music, acting, sports, whatever it is, 90% of the time that you invest is in the practicing, and maybe 10% is in the actual game or the performance. And the same thing's true here. So the more advanced practice and prep you have with practice tests, the more likely you are to get that one-time score. And to kind of go to that 2 times, maybe 3 at most, and you might be okay, especially if the scores are improving. When you start getting beyond that, it's going to really raise some red flags with schools, because they're going to say, why does this person have to take this test over and over and over again so many times and hasn't gotten maybe a competitive score yet? So I would say 2 to 3 as maybe a maximum, and of course 1 would be ideal, but there's nothing wrong with 2, possibly 3 times if needed.
Great, thank you very much. So for all of our attendees today, if you do have any other questions, I do invite you to put those in the Q&A box now. But I think I'm gonna call we have another question. What regulations will be in place due to COVID-19? So Calvin, I'm not sure regulations in regards to what, if you wanna let us know specifically what you're referring to. On campus, we have many policies in place for COVID-19. So yeah, if you're able to explain a little more for us that in the Q&A box, that would be great. So at this time, I think I'd like to invite both Katie and Jared back up to ask a couple questions of them. So Katie and Jared are, aside from being very involved in research in their departments, I thought it might be nice for our attendees to know, what do you do outside of math and physics? So Katie, if you want to go first.
Okay, let's see. Outside of math and physics, well, I play the ukulele. I'm currently learning Arabic. And let's see, I have recently got into reptiles. I got a snake over quarantine and have really just started learning and doing a lot more research on them. Big community, something I'm really interested in right now. Yeah, other than that, physics all the time.
Thank
Yes.
you. And Jared.
So for me, I play piano, guitar, and violin. And recently I've been dabbling with trying to record some music with my sweet mates. In the winter, I tend to like to ski, and there's many mountains nearby. Last semester I was the treasurer of ski club, and I'm still a participant. So we oftentimes rent a bus and go on trips. And so having that group rate is pretty good for anyone that likes to ski. You know what I mean? How, prices of skiing is pretty expensive. So having a group to go with constantly is fun. I mean, kind of with COVID, it's difficult, I would assume, but other than that, I've been into cooking a lot. But yeah, similarly with Katie, lots of math, my research kind of relates to physics as well. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay, and Jared, while I have you on the line, one of the questions that came in from Calvin about COVID restrictions, he was asking about with housing. You live on campus, correct?
Yep.
What does housing look like for you right now with all of the COVID procedures in place?
Right. So the school does not allow like other people like, so if you don't live in your like, they only allow people in your dorm to be in your dorm. So if you like live there, only people allowed are like the 4 people. In my case, my apartment, like four to an apartment. Only us could come. So no visitors, no contact. You're required to wear a mask outside of like outside of your building. Yeah. So laundry, I have to sign up on an Excel sheet in order to, um, maintain that safety guidelines of, like, close space, wear masks, keep safe. Um, and I'd say a lot of people on campus kind of tend to do the same. When I am on campus, most of my classes are remote, but with my hybrids, everyone wears masks. The hybrids are either A/B format where they're split, or they're like partially online in one day or in class another day. And I also tutor for the centralized tutoring center, and so most of our operations have gone online in terms of that, because I mean, I still go to the library and stuff, and I'm pretty comfortable with doing so. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. Once again, if you have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A box. But I have one question that I always like to ask all of my panelists. So my question is, if you have to give a piece of advice to students who are thinking about attending the University of Hartford, what would that be? And I am just going to go down the list here for everybody to answer. So how about if we start with Dr. Levesque? What would your piece of advice be?
Oh man, I have to go first. I would just say, and I know it's just given the current situation, I think, the best thing that you can do is see if you can talk to one-on-one with a professor. I know that, Kelly's office is, in the past at least, been able to arrange one-on-one meetings, but maybe those things can be done virtually. If you can meet with a student, talk to a student and just ask them all your questions, because the students know what it's like to be here. So I would just say, meet with someone, a professor or someone in the program that you're interested in, and meet with a student just to find out what it's like to be a student here.
Great, thank you very much. And let's see, Dr. McDonald, what would your piece of advice be?
Kind of like what Amy said, talk to people here, talk to people, especially students. We can connect you with people, and just ask a lot of questions. And remember that you don't have to make decisions now that can't be changed, right? In other words, if you are interested in a major, I mean, you heard that Jill started out wanting to go to medical school, now she's going to be a vet. We have that happen very often, but the skills that you're going to pick up along the way are what we call transferable. You don't have to be in the medical field, for example, for that research that you did with a professor to teach you skills that you can bring to almost anything else you do in your life.
Wonderful, thank you. And Dr. X?
Yeah, they already said my answer, so I don't have a new piece of advice. Usually the best way is if the student who are interested in math or related areas could directly contact me, and I will either directly communicate with the student, or if he or she has some special areas interested, I can connect with sort of our professors in their area. And I can also connect the student with our current students on campus doing undergraduate research or doing some coursework in that area. So that will be the best way to know. I need to know more of the potential students. That's my advice.
Thank you. And Dr. Mahan?
Yeah, it's probably similar to what's been said, but communication is a huge key. And that can be asking questions. We've had a lot of good questions here in the Q&A. Also just being in touch with your professors. More often than not, we have students that sometimes if they're struggling, they don't say anything, or they're facing an issue, health issue or a home issue, finance issue or something like that. And they miss class or do things and they never say anything. And we'd be more than happy to work with them and help them get through that and do what they need to do to be able to kind of continue their education and make some accommodations or things like that to help them through it. And we can't do that unless we know those things. So take advantage of the support systems that are here. We talked about some of the academic ones, but there are plenty of non-academic support services that are available here as well. And just taking advantage of those so that if you need anything, it's there for you. Don't avoid those things. Don't be afraid to ask for those things, because everybody's here to help you. That's a big part of our job. It's not just part of it's delivering the education, but if you could read the book and do everything on your own, we wouldn't need to do anything. So we're here to provide that extra help with tutoring or office hours and just the general support that you need. And especially as others mentioned, in times like this, that's even more critical. So, definitely take advantage of all of that that's there for you.
Great, thank you. And Katie, what would your advice be?
All right, well, we're all sounding like broken records right now.
I know.
Networking, really just getting to know your faculty, your advisors, your peers. All of these people are so interesting and they all come from different backgrounds. And really a lot of the people, like everyone has said so far, are here to help you. I've had tremendous opportunities open to me by a lot of the faculty. Really just a lot of advice given about my major, the classes I'm taking, and even life in general, what I'm doing outside of school. And yeah, you meet a lot of interesting people and they're gonna help you, set your foundation and carry on after school. So networking, getting to know the people.
Great, thank you, Katie. And Jared, last but not least.
So I would recommend to sort of be open to any new experiences, especially with COVID. I would say just try to gain as much experience and knowledge as you can. I know for me, I came here with the intent of doing actuarial, but I sort of pivoted into more applied math, a mix of physics and data science. And I've even taken classes outside of math that I've learned to enjoy, like philosophy, film, and writing. I've learned to sort of round myself out in that sense. And kind of linking to what Katie said, just don't be afraid to walk over to your department and just drop by and be like, hey, how's it going? Or drop by and just have a discussion with your department, because the more you sort of put yourself out there, the more chances you'll sort of get to more chances you'll the doors will basically just open and you'll be offered these experiences that you couldn't have possibly thought of before. So for example, for me, I've done research with other departments, like Dr. McDonald was saying, REUs. There was one in the ENHP in the prosthetics and orthotics department, and I applied math to neurons and human movement. So just sort of not limiting yourself to I'm a bio major or I'm a math major and I just want to do this. Sort of open yourself to the other possibilities that, I could apply my math to this or other areas that the school might offer.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Well, I would like to take this moment to thank all of our panelists today for joining us, sharing with us your knowledge and your expertise about all of our programs. This call was also recorded, so if you want to see all of our faces again, you can definitely do that, and the video will be available through the admission office shortly. If you have any questions regarding admission or financial aid, If you visit the admission website, there is a little tab on the right-hand side that says Ask Us, and you can speak live with an admission counselor Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. And once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. Good luck with the rest of your school year. And of course, we hope to see you at the University of Hartford next year. Thank you, everyone, and take care.